If you're sick of drinking warm beer, you gotta check this out. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda. I know that you and we like to have a beer every once in a while. And you know what? You probably drink that warm beer, room temperature, maybe 80, 90 degree beer. It's good. I know. You like it. But every once in a while you want that cool beer, that chilled beer, that frosty beer. And this little guy will make sure that all those warm beers that you're drinking, maybe even tolerating, are now frosty and chilly cool. Oh, my little stainless steel friend here. This is a beer chiller. You can see here that it's about 9 inches long. That's pretty long. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But what it is a stainless steel rod, and I think maybe there's some of that freezable fluid, you know, kind of like those gel packs that you put in the freezer and then you put in lunch boxes. I kind of think that's possible. It doesn't feel like it's solid metal all the way through. It's actually fairly light, but I can't hear anything, can't see anything, it doesn't feel like anything's moving. And then we have an opening right up here, an opening that will go all the way through there. So what we will do is we will freeze this, it will get very cold, you'll drop it into your beer of choice. This little silicone lip right here will create a nice watertight seal on the top, and then as you tip this guy back, the beer will flow along this rod here, get cooled down, and then go through this opening and then out your mouth, and it's like, oh, it's so cold, so cold. Oh, it feels like snow just pelting you on your naked face. So something like this, I think, will make your beer stay colder longer, or if you are dealing with a beer that's not quite as cold as you want it, this will take a warmer beer and make it colder. So how do I know that? Well, I don't. And that's why this is basically like the Mythbusters of the YouTube world, where we are going to try it. And so I've set up this experiment. We're going to take these two chillers, we're going to put them in the freezer, and then I'm going to drink some beer. It's just as simple as that. You see, science can be fun. Let's get to it. So I have the chiller here. I actually have two of the chillers because we need to do a proper test. As you can see, they have frost on them. I just took them out of the freezer. They have been Netflix and chilling in the freezer, and looks like they have gotten amorous with each other. So a couple things I want to try here is I have Leinenkugel's red lager. That red lager. I do love a lager. Now these two have been chilling in my fridge, so they're cool. They're not frigid cold or anything. But I also have this one, which I just took out of the case, and again, same thing, except it's at room temperature. So I want to try one of the chillers and see if my cool refrigerator temperature beer gets colder with the chiller. And then I want to take a beer that's been sitting out pretty warm and see if the chiller will make it feel like it has been frosted. All right, let's go ahead and try the two chilled beers. Oh, thank God they're a twist-off cap. All right, I'm going to go ahead and throw this one in here. Actually, what you have to do is drink a little bit out of it because it's going to displace some of this beer. So I think you kind of want to get down to the neck here, which I have no problems doing. All right, red. And it looks like it'll fit, which is nice. And then I just kind of push that in there, give it a nice seal in there. Okay, I think that is all I need to do. So first of all, this one is the chilled beer. Just took a swig out of that one. Nice and cool to my lips. Pretty easy to drink. Tastes pretty good. Tastes red, like my passion. And now, I'm going to take it out of this life preserver end here. Oh yeah. All right, I can definitely tell it's a little bit cooler. I wouldn't call it colder, like super cold. You know, it's not uncomfortable. That's what I want to say. But I can also feel the chill on my, especially upper lip, where you're getting that stainless steel. And I also put my pinky up because that shows that I'm a refined drinker. Yeah, that's nice and cold. Yeah, there's a little bit of a temperature difference, and I'd say actually the cooler to me is a little more improved. All right, but I think they're starting at pretty similar temperatures, so you're not going to necessarily get a huge effect, but it still works. But I don't know that you'll need the chiller if you have beer sitting in a cooler, you're pulling one out of the fridge, right? All right, here is the room temperature one, and I'm going to have to remove a little booze from it. Okay. You definitely get that room temperature beer taste, which is kind of like dry sourness. I mean, the flavor isn't bad. It's just at room temperature, it tastes like flatter to me, to be honest. I've drunken room temperature beer before. It's not my favorite thing to do, but it's been done. Now I'm going to take my second chiller here, drop that in there, push that in. All right. Ooh, I can see it fizzing up here. So for whatever reason, warm beer hitting something very cold tends to fizz. It kind of filled up the neck there. All right. So now I've got that, and I can actually see a lot of bubbles, that carbonation on the chiller stick itself. Okay, again, the most striking thing is like the chilling effect right on my lips because it's cold. Yeah, it's a little bit cooler. All right, I'm also going to tell you that one thing that I'm surprised about is it's actually pretty easy to drink out of here. I kind of thought it'd be like sucking on a bottle or something because of maybe the smaller opening, but it's actually very easy to drink out of. Okay, yeah, it's a little cooler, but it's not like, cold refreshing. So if I were to rank these, the least cold here is a warm beer, room temperature beer with the chiller stick. And then cool and enjoyable is just the regular refrigerated beer. But there's a pretty big gap between these two. This has just a hint of a chilled effect to me. This feels chilled because it's been in the fridge. And then if you take that chilled beer and add the chiller stick to it, it's just maybe slightly colder. So the gap between these two is very minimal. So what the chiller stick doesn't do is it doesn't take a warm beer and make it cold like it just pulled it out of like a stream in the Rocky Mountains. It just cools it off a little bit. You get that little extra kick. But if the beer's already cold and then you have this icy chiller stick in there, I think what it does is helps just kind of boost it a little bit. So do you want to use it on warm beer? Well, if you only have warm beer and you have the stick, use it. It's going to make it more drinkable. But if you want to get a really frosty beverage and you're pulling it out of the fridge, the chiller stick will kind of do that. So that's kind of what it's nice for, especially if you're going to be outside, you know, somewhere where maybe the beer isn't as cold as it could be. It's been sitting out in a bucket with ice, but it's just not necessarily super cold. This will kind of like top off the coldness for you. So if you want to pick up a set of the chiller sticks, they're not that expensive. Throw them in your freezer, have them when you need to, every 20 minutes when you pull out a new beer. Well, I think they're a nice companion for anyone who is serious about their drinking. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Peter Von Panda. Out.